Early in my career, I had spent a lot of time analyzing data for a project, and I was excited to share the work with my boss. And when I presented the analysis, I could tell that my boss wasn't taking my work seriously, which left me really frustrated. It turns out that I made some formatting mistakes in Excel that led to my boss immediately discrediting my work. My name is Pete, and I'm walking you through the top 5 formatting mistakes in Microsoft Excel. Avoiding the mistakes I'm covering today will increase the influence of your work and help your audience be more receptive to your conclusions. Let's get started right now. In today's example, my boss asked for a profitability forecast on some coffee brewing equipment that our e-commerce business sells. And I put together this spreadsheet here, and let's go through and identify all the mistakes that I made. The first mistake is not providing a summary of my analysis. When you send someone a document like this, it's very disorienting because there's so much information and the user does not know what they should be looking at. And in fact, the answer to my boss's question is in the lower right-hand corner of the document, and that's literally the last thing they're going to read. Instead, I should have created a sheet that summarizes the work and tells my boss exactly what they want to know. So I'm going to create a new sheet and call it summary because it's going to summarize the work that I did. And I'm going to create a table and link back to the values from my analysis. So for revenue for next year, I'm going to press equal sign and then enter the corresponding cell from my analysis, press enter. And for cost of goods sold, I'll do the same. And I'm going to do the same for all the values that you see here, but I'm going to fast forward so you don't have to watch me do it for each one. I'm going to move the summary sheet to be the first in the document, and when my boss accesses the document, they know where to look to get answers quickly. I want to take a quick break and ask that you click that subscribe and notification bell. Subscribing helps me know that I'm making valuable videos for you. Thank you so much, and let's get back to it. So we have this summary table, but it still has some flaws. And we can add some formatting to the table to make it easier to read. I'm going to make the header row black and the text white and bold so that the user knows it's a header. Next, I'm going to add an underline so the user knows that a net income line is a summation of the information above. Lastly, the header field should be aligned with their data. A header for a text column should be left justified, and a header for a number column should be right justified. You see here that we have some projections for next year, and they're formatted out to 2 decimal points. These numbers are way too precise and distract from the big picture. Instead, we can use Excel's number formatting to format these numbers in millions and include an M sign to signal so. To do that, highlight the data that you want to put in millions, go up here to more number formats and click custom, and now we're going to enter in this custom number format, which is going to format the number as millions. I will add this custom number format to the description below and click OK. Now the results are formatted in million and looks much better than the original. You'll notice that we only have one set of projections for next year. Instead, I like to include a range of scenarios that include the middle 80% of potential outcomes. Scenarios also help refine your thinking because they make you identify the key variables influencing your projections. We aren't going to go into developing scenarios in this video, but I do have a video on simple spreadsheet models that I'll link to on the screen and in the description. But you can add a couple extra columns here and an extra row to indicate the low, medium, and high scenarios for next year's projections. And this gives the user perspective on the range of possible outcomes for next year. So this summary is great, but we're still allowing the audience to come to their own conclusions on the data. My perspective on analytical roles is that your job is not just to provide the data, but to interpret it and provide conclusions. So you have an opportunity to add a title and to summarize the key conclusions that you came to in your analysis. So I'm going to add a couple rows up here. I'm going to add a title of next year profitability analysis, and I'm going to make it bold. And down here I'm going to add the key takeaway, which is that the medium and high scenarios are dependent on new tariff legislation. I'm going to add another row here to make sure it looks great. So we went from this to this, and we did so by adding a summary, formatting the table, formatting the numbers in millions, adding a range of scenarios for next year, and adding a title with key takeaways. Thanks so much for tuning in. Click subscribe and that notification bell so we can stay in touch. Let me know in the comments what formatting mistake were you making. If you learned something, press thumbs up, and I will see you next time.